Okay, so today, November 16th, 2023, our 33rd meeting, reading Urantia book with Heidi. We are going to keep reading paper 110, Relation of Adjusters with Individual Mortals, section 6, the latter part, and section 7. Before that, Heidi is reading some of the paper 140 from part 4 of this book with us, and regarding prayer. We just talked about the Baptist John and the relationship between Jesus and John, Old Testament and New Testament. Okay, so Heidi, you can keep talking now.
Yeah, I'm just, Ricky, I'm just wondering if before you say that in Chinese, I'm just wondering if you can you go back and get that recording and paste that onto this recording so that, do you know what I mean?
Possibly. It's
maybe,
possibly, but maybe not, because if that one got interrupted, they might just,
delete it. Yeah.
Delete my recording. But anyway, we just start, so it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering. Could you say that in Chinese? What you just said?
I think people all are in the meeting, so I don't think I need to repeat that in Chinese.
I think you do, because a lot of people will just listen to the recording and they're not.
Yeah, 就是今天是第33次会议与海地读育书，我们继续读110篇，调整者与个体凡人的关系。然后呢，第6部分和第7部分，然后在这之前呢，要读一些关于祷告的，这个就第140篇第4部分，关于这个耶稣关于祷告的一些教导。那个现在我要分享屏幕。怎么搞不出来了？这儿我要 copy 到这 Zoom 的聊天区。没有 copy 权。为什么？ But anyway, I already copied the English part to the chat window at Zoom.
Okay. So should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So just so we know, the Christianity is based on the two books, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And a testament is like it's kind of like a revelation. It's someone's like truth, a testament. You testify to something you believe to be true, right? A testament. So
这个那个 testament 就是旧约新约，这个它这个词的意思就相当于见证什么东西是真实的，所以就是跟那个启示也就是非常相近的意思你新启示旧启示，相当于旧约和新约这样的一个概念。
So the Old Testament is really I think it is exactly the same. I mean, I can find out at some point, but I think it is exactly the same. I think the Jewish people call the Old Testament the Torah. It's their Bible. But the Christians call it the Old Testament because we also have the New Testament, which is the story of Jesus. It's different than the Urantia book story of Jesus. I mean, it's the same story, but it's written completely differently. You know what I'm saying? It's a life, yeah. So so because we have the two Bibles, one is the story of Jesus, and one is the old Jewish religion, you know, with all the old prophets and everything. We call it the Old Testament and the New Testament. But the Jews just they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, so that's not part of their religion. But they still have the Old Testament, which is they call it the Torah.
对，那个犹太人把这个旧约称为 Torah， 是他们的圣经，那么他们是不相信耶稣是他们的救主的，然后他们只相信那个旧约的部分。旧约只是相对于新约来说，因为新约是关于耶稣，关于他的教导。那么新约呢，就是跟约珥下之书的第4部分都讲到耶稣的生平和教导，但是呢，有些许的不同。
So so anyway, the follower John the Baptist, who we just talked about who he was, he had followers just like Jesus had followers when Jesus started teaching. But John taught his followers prayers, and the Hebrews, they were all Jewish, and the Jewish religion, they speak Hebrew, and it's the Hebrew religion, but they're Jewish. It's the same thing, and they were very religious, very devout religious people, and they all prayed a lot.
对，那个耶稣啊和世界上都有追随者哈，那么他们的追随者都是非常虔诚的宗教徒，他们都说希伯来语，那么他们非常虔诚，经常的祷告啊。
So naturally, John the Baptist taught his followers prayers.
所以很自然的，这个施洗约翰就会教导他们祷告，关于怎么祷告。
They had all grown up with religious teachers who they call rabbis. We in the Christians call them ministers and priests. The Hebrews call them rabbis.
对，在那个犹太教里边，那个灵性的导师叫做拉比。那么在新约里边嘛，他就是什么神父啦，还是什么牧师啦这个不同的叫法。
So the Christians have inherited I mean, the Jewish Bible is half of our Bible. So we have inherited a lot of Christianity is based on Judaism.
那么新约呢，因为它是相当于承继传统来说，从旧约来的，所以承继了很多的习惯呢。这就是旧约啊，犹太人的习惯。
The Old Testament, the Torah, has prophets. They had they really lived. They're real people. They had through the years, they had many different prophets who came and prophesied, which is like, you know, to have a prophecy is to intone the future, to talk about what's going to come in the future, right? That's a prophecy.
旧约里边呢，就有很多的先知啊，他们就是在那个历史当中的确存在的人，他们就是给不同的预言，那个预言将来要发生的事情。
And their prophets were, you know, you'd call in India, you'd call them gurus, right? They were holy men.
对，那这个先知呢，你看在印度呢，他们可能叫古鲁哈，就是那比较的就是圣人。
And some were holier than others.
有一些先知比其他的比另外的更神圣。
But they all had, you know, connection to God. So all of them, some of all of them had some very profound truths to tell, and some had, incredible truths to tell.
对，他们都跟神有联系，然后有非常的深广的真理要告诉世人。
And some of them, maybe all of them, but definitely a lot of them prophesied that a Messiah was coming to the Jewish people. A Messiah is more than a prophet. He's like an anointed one, like a son of God. He's like almost more than a man, like more than like an anointed one, like a holier than holy. They all prophesied that a Messiah was going to come to the Jewish people and basically save them.
对，有很多的预言呢，就是预告弥赛亚的来临。那么在犹太人的眼里，这个弥赛亚就是说呢，神之子是比人要高级的，然后是被拣选，被那个什么受膏的一位是神圣当中的神圣。
So when Jesus came, the Jews who followed him believed that he was the Messiah. The Jews that didn't follow Jesus believed that he was a man, he was a teacher. They might like him, they might not like him, but they didn't believe he was their Messiah.
那么追随耶稣的人呢，认为他就是已经就是预言当中的弥赛亚，但是其他的犹太人呢，只是把他作为一般的人呐，作为一般的教师。
The Jews that followed Jesus, they all believed he was the Messiah, and these people eventually formed a new religion based on him, and they called it Christianity.
那么相信他是弥赛亚的人呢，就是那个追随者呢，就是根据他们的信仰，就是建立一个新的宗教，就是基督教。
If most of the Jews or the rabbis, the high priests of the Jews, if they had believed that Jesus was the Messiah, then they wouldn't have needed a new religion. They would have just had a new book for their religion, a new chapter, a new interpretation. It would have just been a continuation of Judaism. They would have said, "Oh, here's Jesus. He's our Messiah, and we're all Jews." But they didn't believe he was the Messiah, so they had to break away from Judaism to found this new religion.
对。那么如果那个旧约那个就是犹太教的大祭司们，他们也认可耶稣的话，那么相当于他们就会就是抛弃到犹太教，然后就追随耶稣就好了。但是呢，但是他们不相信嘛，所以那个信奉耶稣的，那就要从旧约的这个犹太教里边分离出来，建立一个新的宗教。
So this is why Jews and Christians have a very strange relationship.
所以这个犹太教跟基督教有比较很奇怪的关系，奇特的关系。
On the one hand, we love Jews because Jesus was a Jew, John the Baptist was a Jew, all the apostles were Jewish. Our Old Testament, half of our Bible is the Jewish Bible. So we have a very, very strong connection to Judaism.
另一方面来讲，像施洗约翰、耶稣他们都是犹太人，那么一半的圣经呢都是旧约，都是对犹太人本来的宗教。
On the other hand, they didn't believe that he was that our Savior, Jesus is our Savior. They didn't believe he was the Messiah, and then they killed him.
对，另外一方面呢，这个犹太人呢，他们不相信耶稣是我们的救主，是弥赛亚，然后他们就是把那个 把耶稣给处死了。
So this is why there have always been many Christians who love Jews and many Christians who hate Jews.
所以呢，就是有一些基督徒是很热爱犹太人的，另外一些的基督徒是非常的厌恶犹太人的。
So right now, we give America gives so much money to Israel, and we always love Israel. And then I find out that the president, the prime minister of Israel is trying to make it illegal to talk about Jesus in Israel.
那么，美国呢，现在给以色列很多钱呢，就是支持他们，但是呢，那个以色列的总理呢，却想把这个信仰耶稣定为非法。
But so it's complicated.
所以非常的复杂的关系。
But anyway, let me ask you a question. Do Buddhists pray to God?
No, in Buddhism we don't have God.
And you don't
We
have
don't
like,
believe in God.
well, but there's that one, right? We were talking and we read about it. There was one branch of Judaism that seemed to believe in God. Remember we read about it?
One branch of
I said Judaism, but yeah, I meant Buddhism. I'm sorry.
对，他就问他说啊，在那个佛教里边有没有祷告，有没有对神的祷告？我说我们佛教是不信神的。他说不是啊，他说至少佛教当中的有一支他们是信神的。那么其实他指的是那个阿弥陀佛那个念佛的法门那个。But in that branch, it's not God. We just believe he is just the Buddha. This Buddha can deliver you to the happy land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is kind of mimic the function of God, but we don't call him God. We call it Amitabha Buddha.
And you don't pray to him.
We just we recite his name. We recite his name and in order to get into his land. It is not a prayer, it is just a recital. We worship him and we recite his name, and then I think that would suffice, that you would be delivered when you die.
So Ricky, for your group on WeChat, that Mariag and Donda's group, do you think that the whole idea of prayer is new to people, or are they very familiar with it?
It is quite Western idea. I don't think people are used to prayer or practice prayer. No, we don't. If we are traditional, we comply with traditional religions in China. We don't usually do prayer. We like in Buddhism, we do recital of the Buddha's name. We also read or write those sutra, to Buddhism sutra, and we think writing or copying those sutras would purify, cleansing your soul and the mind. We don't do well. We do. So because see, many Chinese families have altar, that we have a Buddha image and Bodhisattva's image in that altar. And then, yes, we pray, but we don't pray to God. We pray to Buddha and Bodhisattva, to like Guanyin Bodhisattva, Guanyin Pusa. So we pray to them to give us good luck, to take care of our family, and so on and so forth.
Okay, and are there prayers that you like memorize and say, or do you just make it up yourself?
他就问那我们的祷告哈，因为后来我想起来了，虽然我们没有是跟神祷告的习惯，但是呢，我们有跟佛呀、跟菩萨这个祷告哈，燃香祷告也有啊，也是类似的。那么他就问我们是有一个固定的祷告词呢，还是我们自己那个想自己的祷告词呢？Well, yeah, we can make up our own.
Okay, okay, good. Well, that's good because we have both. We go to church and we have now, I mean, I'm not a Christian, but Christians, I grew up Christian, but Christians go to church and they all say prayers together, and the Bible is, we repeat things from the Bible and that are like prayers, that can be a prayer, or like the there's all different ways of doing it, right? The priest might say a line and then you say, I've never understood the rituals. I go there and everyone else knows what to do. I never know what to do. I've been in church many, for weddings and for, and I never understand how everyone else knows how to do everything. I can't figure out what they're doing, but there's like all these, there's every religion is different, but they have the priest or the minister says something and then the people say, but they're all different. Every religion is different. The Quakers, wait, I'll let you translate some of this, but the Quakers, they don't have prayer. They just have silent prayer. And they're Christians too, but they have silent prayer, right? So it's all different.
他说在这个基督教的传统当中也是有两种，一个是公共的祷告哈，从圣经里边的摘的，那也有私人的祷告。那么他们在教会里边有一些的仪式，有的时候是神父说一句，然后信众说一句。他没有参加过他们的教会活动，但是有的时候会去参加婚礼啊，干啥的，在教会里边举行，好像是这样，有一些的这种仪式。那么还有一些的每个宗教里边的这种实行的这个方式，祷告的方式都不同。那有一个宗教，那么他们都是在静默当中祷告。
Now the Quakers do believe that everyone has a fragment, has God lives inside of everyone. So they do believe in a thought adjuster, but they don't call it a thought adjuster, but they do believe in that.
这我也不知道Quaker这个宗教是什么那个宗教，但是他们也相信我们人里边都有神的片段啊，所以就是跟里边的神祷告。
And they don't believe in war. Whenever there's a war, the Quakers don't have to go and fight because it's against their religion.
那么他们就是很反对这个战争。那么那个这些奎克教徒他们是不参加任何的战争的。
So this is good that I'm understanding, because prayer is so central to Western religion, even Islam, right? They're praying all the time. I don't know what kind of prayers they do, but they're always praying and in some kind of way. And prayer is so central to all the religions, of the West, mainly Christianity and Islam, but probably if that I just, it never occurred to me to ask you, hey, do you know what praying is? Do you pray,
Yeah, 他说在西方的宗教当中，祷告是非常占中心地位的。那么在伊斯兰教当中，他们也每天有很多次的祷告。当然，我也不知道他们祷告什么，但是就是这个所以他就问我们东方的这个宗教的习俗因为这个祷告在西方的宗教当中非常的中心的地位。
And we also have grace, like you don't just pray in church or, you know, a religious person might pray when they wake up. They might pray before they go to sleep. They might pray before anything important, you know, something like that.
嗯哼，对，那么他们就西方人可能就是醒来祷告，睡前祷告，那么有重要的事情他们也祷告。
And now a religious family will have grace. Have you ever been at a meal where they said grace? Ricky?
At a meal.
Yeah. Grace is like you have a dinner and before you, and all the food's on the table, and before you eat, you all put your hands either,
Yeah,
in a prayer.
Yeah.
And you,
yes, we I know that. Yeah, you pray before you.
and one, but one person usually says it. Usually, it doesn't have to be, but
提到基督教里边的饭前祷告，当有聚餐的时候，就是往往有一个人替大家，带大家一起祷告，然后谢饭的祷告，对。
And that's called grace. It's like, let's say grace. Okay, let's say grace. It's called grace.
这个仪式叫做 grace 恩典。
Before a meal.
Yeah.
And a lot of families, like my family wasn't very religious, but we'd always say grace before like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or Easter dinner, right on a holiday, we'd always say grace. My father would say grace. We'd all hold hands.
我们的家庭呢，就是平常吃饭不祷告，但是在感恩节啦、圣诞节啦，还是复活节啦，那个晚餐有祷告，我的父亲会替我们祷告。
And he used to go on, and we'd all be like wishing he'd stop because the food was getting cold.
我的父亲总是哎呀祷告个没完没了的，我们就想着你赶快结束吧，饭都凉了。
It's definitely too long. I don't even know what he was talking about, but he just went on and on and on. He'd make it up as he went along, and he really loved saying grace, but they were definitely too long.
对，他总是给的祷告非常的长，那个他喜欢这个长的带祷，对，但是我都不知道他讲什么，但是就是实在是太长了。
There are Urantia study groups all over the world, and you know, I mean, now there's more and more online, but for many years they only met in person. That was before we had the internet. Now I think it's, you know, they meet in person, and they're both now, but they still meet in person.
月染下之书的这个学习月染下之书的人，在因特网没有发明之前呢，他们都是在线下的聚会啊，就是当然现在呢，很多在线上的那个学习小组也都有了，但是在互联网没有之前，大家都是在线下聚会的。
So if the study group was like mostly Christians, like I went to a study group in Atlanta, Georgia, and everyone, that's called the Bible Belt. That's where that part of America is just full of Christians. Like everybody's Christian down there. So the Urantia study group, they were all mostly Christians, because it was in what they call the Bible Belt of America, right? Where, I mean, it's hard to meet anyone who isn't a Christian down there. So whereas if you go to a study group in New York City, no, very few people are Christians in New York. You know what when I say Christians, I mean, you might have been brought up Christian or brought up Jewish, but you wouldn't go to church, or you wouldn't go to synagogue, right? But if you were in Atlanta, you would go to church every Sunday.
他说比如他参加了很多月染下之书的学习小组，那么他有一段时间在亚特兰大，那么亚特兰大那一带就是南方哈，就是美国就有一个叫圣经带，就是那个腰带一样，就是南方那一片，就是基督徒非常的多，那个虔诚的基督徒，他们要定期去教会的那种， 对，就是他说这个参加月染下之书学习的人，大部分都是基督徒啊，虔诚的基督徒。
So the study group in Atlanta that was full of Christians, they would definitely say a prayer before every study group.
对，像这些人，他们在每一次学习之前呢，肯定都要说一段祷告词的。
But other study groups all over the country, they might also say a prayer, not because they're Christian, but because they're Urantia book readers, and that's also be a very strong belief in Jesus and God and religion. So they might say a prayer, not because they're Christian, but because they believe in the Urantia book.
其他地方的学习小组哈，那个他们学习之前也会说一段祷告词，但是不是因为他们是基督徒，而是他们相信月染下之书。
Then there's people that are like more, you know what new age religion is, right?
Yeah, we know.
And everyone knows.
Yes.
Yeah. So like the people that are more like new age religions, they might do what like God does, like have like a moment of silence or something like that. You know, a few minutes of silence, which I don't know if people are thinking about God. I don't know what they're thinking about during the moment. They're supposed to be thinking about God, but I don't know if they really are.
那就是新时代的灵性这个宗教呢，他们可能就有一些新的做法呢。你就是有可能在学习之前呢，保持静默几分钟啦，像这样的。
I mean, some of them definitely are. I'm not saying, you know, people don't think about God. Maybe they all are, but you just never know.
他说：“那谁知道你在静默的时候在想什么？是在想神还是想别的？”
So now the other thing, and I've said this at least twice before in our sessions, that Jesus said that whenever two people or more than two people are gathered in his name, he is also there.
对，我以前也都说过，那个耶稣曾经说过，只要有2个人在他的名里聚集，他就在那里。
And that means to be gathered in his name means really I don't know what it means, but it could mean, it definitely means two people who believe in him, but they're probably, when he says gathered in his name, he probably means that they're together, 2 or more, so not many, right? So let's say, Ricky, if you and I talk about Jesus, are talking about are having a long conversation about Jesus, that would be 2 people or more gathered in his name. If our group is reading the Jesus papers, whether there's 2 or more, that's gathered in his name.
对，他就是说这2个人是2个相信他的人。你比如说，如果是海底和我在一起讨论耶稣，或者我们像我们这个学习小组来学习，就是关于耶稣的那文章，那么就是相当于聚集在他的名里聚集，都是就是耶稣都与我们同在。
But maybe we're not reading the Jesus papers. Maybe we're just reading the Urantia book. But the Urantia book, we all know the last book of the Urantia book is about Jesus. If you read the Urantia book, you probably do believe in Jesus.
那么就是《月染下之书》的第4部分是关于耶稣的。那么你读《月染下之书》，你可能也是相信耶稣的。
Or you want to, and that's why you want, you know, you want to, and you want to, I mean, you want to find out about him.
或者是你想要了解他更多的。
I mean, you might not believe in him before you read the 700 pages about him, but by the time you read them, you read those 700 pages, I think you will believe in him.
对，那么你有可能一开始并不相信，也许读了700页以后你就相信了。
Because, why would you read 7? I mean, some people, they just want to say they read everything, or they're academic, so they read, like there's atheists who read the Bible, I mean, there's exceptions, but in general, most people, why would you read 700 pages about someone if you didn't believe in him?
对，那除了有一些那个做学问的，他们不一定相信呢，但是他们也有可能读，什么研究那种的心态来读。
So what I'm trying to say is, I think that even if we're not reading the Urantia, I mean the Jesus papers yet, even if we're just reading about the thought adjusters, which is God, it's not about Jesus particularly, it's about God, but Jesus is really part of God, he's like a reflection of God. I think that just us gathering together to read the Urantia book, I think we're gathered together in Jesus's name. That's what I think.
对，当然我们也在读关于像调整者神的片段，但是呢，耶稣呢，他也是神的反应，所以也相当于在他的名里聚集。
And if we are, then Jesus is here with us in spirit.
那么像这样的话，那么就是在顶里，耶稣就与我们同在。
So I don't usually, I don't have these moments of silence in our group, or have us recite a prayer, because I'll tell you'll know why in a minute, because I'm going to read what Jesus said about it. But I do think that if anyone in our group, Ricky or Shenley or anybody, Morningstar, wants to say, something like a prayer, or God bless everyone, please feel free. I'm all for it. I just like it to be natural and spontaneous. I don't want us to feel like it's a ritual that we have to recite it, or we say a prayer every time, or and then I'll read this and you'll know why I feel this way.
那就是，当然了，我们这个是参加这个学习的人，任何一个人都可以来就说一段祷告词啊，但是呢，就是我也没有静默，也没有公开的祷告，那么我是想让我们的学习更加的自然呢和自发一些，而不是遵循一定的仪式。
But I do believe very, very much in the power of prayer. I believe that praying and communing with God and Jesus, talking to them, talking to God, listening to God, praying to God, is one of the most important things you can do.
但是我是非常的相信祷告的力量，那么它就是我们跟神祷告啊，与神同在啊，是倾听神跟神说话呀，这样都非常的重要。
And if anyone, if anyone doesn't know how, or feels awkward, or I will be glad to help.
对，如果就是有人认为祷告好像不知道怎么祷告啊，或者是觉得很怪异啊、很奇怪呀什么的，那么他愿意提供帮助啊，就是他愿帮助我们形成这个祷告的习惯，就是学习更多关于祷告。
It's very easy.
他说是非常容易的。
There's no right, correct way to pray. There are. I mean, there are better ways and worse ways and more effective ways, which we'll read about in this book. But there's no correct way. You can do whatever you like. I mean, God doesn't care how you talk to him. He just wants you to talk to him.
对，那么其实就是祷告很容易，没有正确的方式哈，也只有就是怎么更有效的，或者你就是是神是不介意不介意我们怎么样跟他讲话。
So now I'm going to read this.
他来跟我们分享这一段是这个第三部分，那个144篇第3部分的这么一段。
It is not strange that the apostles everyone knows who the apostles were, right?
这
No?
个 apostle 就是使徒啊，就是相当于他的追随者啊。
They were his 12 main students that were, he picked them and he ordained them, like he made them like ministers. You know, he made, and they represented him on earth. They were his 12 special chosen followers.
那么这个使徒就是专指他的那12个他案例的那个，就是相当于认可的，可以在地上代表他传播他的教导的。那么这12个叫使徒。
We'll read about them soon, and they all became very, very, very famous in the Christian church.
他们在这个基督教教会历史上都是非常有名的。
Because after Jesus died, they all went out and spread the word, and that's how Christianity became a religion, from those 12 apostles and other followers too, but mainly them spreading the word. And it was their recollections and memories and writings that created the Old Testament, which became the Christian Bible.
那么他们就是在耶稣那个被处死以后，他们到世界各地去传播耶稣的教导，然后就是这个就形成基督教和新约圣经的基础。
Wait, I just want to show you something real quick. Do you see it?
Did you share any screen?
Wait, see if I can share my screen.
No, maybe I should stop.
Just look at me. Look at the image by my face.
Oh, that's your cat.
That's Mo.
Mo? Oh,
No, that's the one who was sick.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Isn't he cute?
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. Mo.
Good. Hello, Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Hello, Mo.
Hi, Mo. Okay, enough of Mo. All right. I just wanted you to see. All
my
right.
My cat is meowing too. My cat feels like he's, deserted.
Yeah, well, this one, he wants attention right now. He's trying to stand on my keyboard. So
yeah, my cat always sit on my computer, mess up my keyboard.
Yeah, this guy too. So, okay. So it is not strange that the 12 apostles, desired Jesus to teach them a model prayer for believers.
他说的是第一段，使徒们希望耶稣教导他们信徒祷告的范本，这并不奇怪。
John the Baptist had taught his followers several prayers. All great teachers had formulated prayers for their pupils.
这施洗约翰曾教导过他的追随者几句祷告词，所有伟大的教师都为他们的学生制定过祷告词。
The religious teachers of the Jews had some 25 or 30 set prayers, which they recited in the synagogues and even on the street corners.
犹太人的宗教教师有大约25或30个固定的祷文，他们会在会堂或甚至在街角背诵这些祷文。
Jesus was particularly averse to praying in public.
耶稣特别不喜欢在公共场合祷告。
Up to this time, the 12 apostles had heard him pray only a few times.
那么在此之前，12个门徒只听过他几次祷告。
They observed him spending entire nights at prayer or worship, and they were very curious to know the manner or form of his petitions.
他们观察到他整晚都在祷告或敬拜，他们非常想知道他祷告的方式或形式。
They were really hard pressed to know what to answer the multitudes when they asked to be taught how to pray as John had taught his disciples.
这个当众人请求教导他们如何祷告，就像约翰教导他的门徒那样时，他们实在不知道该怎么回答。
Jesus taught the 12 always to pray in secret, to go off by themselves amidst the quiet surroundings of nature, or to go in their rooms and shut the doors when they engaged in prayer.
哦，这一段我没有弄上去。OK， 他就是这，来我来打开另外一个140。
You don't have this translation? That's the last sentence. You could.
是的，最后一句相当于他就是耶稣教导12门徒要常常暗中祷告，在安静的大自然中独自祷告，或在祷告时回到自己的房间关上门。哇，祷告这么私密的事情呢？Yeah, I translate that.
Okay, so here we have these Jews. They were all Jewish, and they were used to all the religious people praying all the time, praying in synagogue, praying on the streets, praying in their houses. And now they have this Messiah, this holy man, and he's never praying in public. He's just praying by himself in private.
你看当时的实践呢，就是在大庭广众之下啦，去祷告。但是呢，你看这个弥赛亚，这个救主，他的祷告方式呢，却是这样的私密啊，他不喜欢在大众之下祷告。
And then all the multitudes, all these people are coming to hear Jesus teach them, and preach and teach. And after Jesus teaches them, these people who are all becoming followers of Jesus, they're going up to the apostles and they're saying, how should we pray? This is a new religion. This is all new information, new material. How does Jesus want us to pray? And so they didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to tell people.
对，那么就是对新约的圣徒，然后那些的众人想讨教怎么样祷告这个。
But so they asked Jesus, how should we pray?
所以那些门徒向耶稣请教怎么祷告。对，实际上门徒表达的是众人的问题，然后这个是相当于就是耶稣就告诉他们的门徒。
And he said, pray in secret, go off by yourself, go in a quiet surrounding, go out in nature, or go in your room and shut the door. Pray by yourself, pray in secret, pray by yourself. That's what he taught them.
对，耶稣就教导他们在私密的地方祷告，安静的地方祷告。对，这是耶稣对他们的教导。
When you're by yourself and you pray, it's just you and God. It's no one else. Yeah.
当你在隐秘当中祷告的时候，只有你跟神，那对，就没有别人。
Or it's just you and Jesus.
或者只有你和耶稣，没有别人。
Or it's just you and Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit.
或者只有你啊，跟圣灵，对。
And maybe your guardian angels might be listening.
你的护卫天使有可能在旁边听听。
But I think everyone can understand why Jesus said that, because he wanted it to be real. He didn't want people to pray just so that, oh, look how holy I am, look how religious I am, or repeat things like our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. We learn these prayers we hear our whole life and we say them, but when you say them that much, they don't necessarily come from your heart. If you have to just talk to God, then you're going to be honest. You're going to believe it. You're going to be real. That's what he's talking about.
对，那么在大庭广众之下祷告呢，你就是可以用来显示啊，你是多么神圣啊，多么虔诚啊，那个模范祷告词就像这一段啊，这个，我在这个腾讯上面那个模范祷告词啊，对，你可以，但是当你在隐秘当中祷告的时候，你只有你跟神就是说的是很诚实的话，不是这种表面上的话。
He did eventually give them one prayer because they wanted a prayer so bad, and that's why we call that prayer the Lord. That's the one I just said. And we Christians call that the Lord's Prayer.
因为这个使徒就要求了嘛，所以他实际上还是给了一段祷告词。那么这个在基督教里边，这叫主的祷告。
We'll read that prayer later when we read the Jesus papers.
我们就是那个过后啊，读那个第4部分的时候，会学习到这个祷告。
The one in the Urantia book is just maybe a little different than the Christian one, but it's the same basic prayer.
那么玉兰下之书的这一段呢，跟那个基督教里边的大体相似，但是有些许的不同。
So I hope that everyone in our study group learns to pray and learns to talk to God. And I talk about this all the time. Even if you don't hear his voice back, he's listening.
我希望我们小组的人都学习跟神祷告，然后你可能听不到他的声音，但是他一定是在听的。
But this is why I never say prayers in our group.
这就是为什么我从来不在我们的小组就公开学习的时候祷告。
I'm not, you know, we are the first readers of the Urantia book. We're in China, right? We're the first, you know, a couple other groups, but we're the first group of readers. It's not even translated yet. So we don't want to start changing things. We want to be very true to the teachings of this book.
我们可能是中国大陆第一个这样学习预言下的小组，那么就是我想就是比较很真诚的，对，就是遵循预言下的教导。
But I will say, this time that I will say right now a prayer. I'll say, Dear Jesus, thank you for being with us in this study group, and please know that we are always gathered in your name.
他说我现在希望说这样的一个祷告，亲爱的耶稣，谢谢你与我们同在，我们
And you are always welcome here.
Dear Jesus, thank you for being with us. And then what's the next?
Dear, I don't know, it's spontaneous. Dear Jesus, thank you for being with us in our study group. And please know that we are always gathered in your name.
我们总是对，在你的名里聚集。
And please know that you are always welcome here. Welcome here.
请你知道，你总是在这里受到欢迎的。
And I said, gathered in your name because we're going to read. We will read in the book that Jesus says, where 2 people or more are gathered in my name, I am also there.
对，因为这个耶稣亲自说，就是有2个人在他的名里聚集，他就在那里。
And when he said things like this, he didn't mean metaphorically or you know, poetically. He meant he's actually here with us in spirit.
对，当他这么说的时候，他不是在做一个比喻啊，或者是做姿态的这样说而是真正的他在灵里真的是与我们同在的，
And that's an amazing thing.
这是非常的令人讶异的。
I think I wanted to talk about some other things, but I'll do it next time we meet so we can have some reading.
那下一次我们读更多。
Okay, you ready to read?
Yes,
Okay. So
where
okay.
are we?
Perhaps
Cool.
these psychic circles. That's that paragraph that begins after the first circle, the next paragraph. Perhaps these psychic circles of mortal progression.
Hold on, I'm trying
Here it
to.
is.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Okay. Perhaps these psychic circles of mortal progression would be better denominated cosmic levels, actual meaning grasps and value realizations of progressive approach to the Marancha consciousness of initial relationship of the evolutionary soul with the emerging supreme being. Wait, in case anyone just tuning in, I want to just say we're in paper 110, the relation of adjusters to the individuals, and we're in section 6, the 7 psychic circles, and we're in we already read about the 7 circles, and now we're reading the next section, which is the last section of section 6. I just want to say in case anyone joined late. All right, so I'm going to read that again because that was kind of complicated. Perhaps these psychic circles of mortal progression would be better denominated cosmic levels, actual meaning grasps and value realizations of progressive approach to the Marancha consciousness of initial relationship of the evolutionary soul with the emerging supreme being. Wow.
这一句很长了。
Do you want to translate that sentence?
Okay. 也许这些凡人进步的心灵圆圈会被更好的定义为宇宙级别对进化灵魂与新出现的至高者的初始关系的灵智性意识的实际意义的把握和渐进式的价值实现。
Okay, I'm going to read the whole paragraph before I make any comments.
Yeah, okay.
And it is this very relationship that makes it forever impossible fully to explain the significance of the cosmic circles to the material mind. Okay, I'll finish the paragraph and let you read the whole, okay? These circle attainments are only relatively related to God consciousness. A 7th or 6th circler can be almost as truly God-knowing, sonship conscious as a 2nd or 1st circler. But such lower circle beings are far less conscious of experiential relation to the supreme being, universe citizenship. The attainment of these cosmic circles will become a part of the ascender's experience on the mansion worlds if they fail of such achievement before natural death. Okay.
OK， 正是这种关系使得我们永远不可能对物质心智完全解释宇宙圆圈的意义。这些圆圈的成就只是相对于神意识有关，到达第7或第6层的存有几乎可以像第2或第1层一样真的知道神有圣父圣子意识，但是这些下层的存有很少在经验层面意识到与宇宙公民与至高者的关系。如果扬升者在自然死亡之前没有达成这些宇宙圆圈，那么达成宇宙圆圈将成为他们在宅下世界的体验的一部分。
I'm going to read the next paragraph too, before we say, okay, I'm going to read the whole next paragraph before we say anything. The motivation of
hold on，沈丽，你可不可以一会儿你来读翻译部分，我出去一下，好吗？
because it helps to explain the one we just read.
好的，没问题。
Yeah, I'm asking Shenli to read the next paragraph so I can
Okay.
break a little bit.
Okay, but I should read it first.
Yeah.
Okay. The motivation of faith makes experiential the full realization of man's sonship with God, but action, completion of decisions, is essential to the evolutionary attainment of consciousness of progressive kinship with the cosmic actuality of the Supreme Being. Faith transmutes potentials into actuals in the spiritual world, but potentials become actuals in the finite realms of the Supreme only by and through the realization of choice experience. But choosing to do the will of God joins spiritual faith to material decisions in personality action, and thus supplies a divine and spiritual fulcrum for the more effective functioning of the human and material leverage of God hunger. Such a wise coordination of material and spiritual forces greatly augments both cosmic realization of the Supreme and Marancha comprehension of the paradise deities. Okay, Shenli.
信仰的动力使人类是神之子的完全实现成为经验性的，但行动及决定的完成对于进化中获得与至高存在者的宇宙现实的渐进亲缘关系的意识是必不可少的。信仰在灵性世界中将潜能转化为现实，但只有通过选择体验的实现，潜能在至高者的有限领域中转化为现实。但是选择按照神的旨意行事。
Okay, I know Ricky, are you with us? I think maybe she took a little break. I'll read, Shenli, I'll read the next paragraph and then I'll make my comments when Ricky gets back. I know this is hard stuff to read.
No. Yeah, Shenli was reading I think, during my break, my cat jumped on and mute me. So you didn't hear Shenli is reading. Shenli, are you done?
I was reading, and
okay.
Heidi said she would like to read next paragraph, and then we read the Chinese, right, Heidi?
Well,
Heidi.
yeah, I mean, now that Ricky's back, it doesn't matter, but I may as well just, because this is tough stuff. So yeah, let me read the next one too. I'm not sure if, because see, I read the next one while you're reading Chinese, so I forget which one I read out loud. Did I read The Mastery of the Cosmic Circles? I didn't read that out loud yet, right? The Mastery of...
没有读第二段吧，就是 Mastery 这一段。
Yeah, that's where I'm starting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I read it to myself. Okay,
Shenli，你上一段读完了没？
These groups, think of it, Vicky, we've got...
他不是打断，他没有听到，因为刚才我那边 mute 了，所以你读完吧，你读完吧。
好的。
Yeah, Shenli haven't finished the Chinese translation part for the last paragraph.
Oh, okay, go on.
Because of the muting. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
Okay, you muted her?
No, my cat's muted the Zoom. When I come back, you are talking and Shenli is talking, I know that something happened, and then I see that you are muted.
But okay, oh, I see. But these are interesting meetings. We've got people, we've got Jesus, and we've got cats.
Yeah, he like to jump on my keyboard to, mess up.
But I mean we've got 3 different types of beings in these meetings. We've got
Yeah.
right, we have God, Jesus, we have mortal beings, and we have 2 cats.
Yeah, of course. So we have 2 platforms,
Yeah, it's a good mixture of beings.
Yeah, Shelly. Okay, go ahead.
I continue to read.
Okay.
但是选择按照神的旨意行事，将灵性的信仰与人格行为中的物质决定联系起来，从而为那些神之渴慕者的人类和物质杠杆更有效运作，提供了一个神性和灵性的支点。这种物质和灵性力量的明智协调，极大地提高了对至高者的宇宙体认和对天堂神灵的灵智性理解。
Wow, that's so profound. I mean, this paragraph.
Yeah, this is really, really heavy duty,
Heavy
hard to understand stuff. Yeah.
可是这也是非常难懂的一段。
Whenever they talk about the supreme, it gets really hard to understand.
当我们提到至高者神的时候，都是非常难懂的。
But also very interesting.
但是同时又是非常的有趣的。
Okay, I'll read this. I'll read the next. I'll read the next 3 paragraphs.
OK， 他要再读下2、3段，然后沈丽你再继续给我们读哈。
Okay, the mastery of the cosmic circles is related to the quantitative growth of the Marancha soul. The comprehension of supreme meanings, but the qualitative status of this immortal soul, is wholly dependent on the grasp of living faith upon the paradise potential fact value that mortal man is a son of the eternal God. Therefore, does a 7th circler, right? That's your first circle, go on to the mansion worlds to attain further quantitative realization of cosmic growth, just as does a 2nd or 1st circler. Next paragraph. There is only an indirect relation between cosmic circle attainment and actual spiritual religious experience. Such attainments are reciprocal and therefore mutually beneficial. Purely spiritual development may have little to do with planetary material prosperity, but circle attainment always augments the potential of human success and mortal achievement. From the 7th to the 3rd circle, there occurs increased and unified action of the 7 adjutant mind spirits in the task of weaning the mortal mind from its dependence on the realities of the material life mechanisms preparatory to increased introduction to Marancha levels of experience. From the 3rd circle onwards, the adjutant influence progressively diminishes. Okay, 3 paragraphs.
对宇宙圈的掌握，对宇宙圈的掌握与灵智性灵魂的数量增长， 对至高意义的理解有关。但是这个不朽灵魂的品质状态完全依赖于对鲜活信仰的把握，这种把握建立在天堂潜在的事实价值之上。这事实价值即凡人是永恒神之子。因此达至第7圈的人继续进入窄下世界，以获得宇宙成长的进一步量化实现，就像达到第2甚至第1圈的人一样。宇宙圈的达成和实际的灵性宗教经验之间只存在一种间接的关系，这种达成是相互的，因此是互利的。纯粹的灵性发展可能与地球上的物质丰裕没有什么关系，但是圈的达成总是加强人类成功和凡人成就的潜力。从第7圈到第3圈，7个辅助心智之灵渐进统一加强合作，使凡人心智摆脱对物质生活机制的现实的依赖，以准备进一步引入体验的灵智性层次。从第3圈往上开始，
辅助的影响上边了，
辅助
上面
辅助的影响逐渐减弱。
OK. Yeah, Heidi.
Okay. So, because I was just reading ahead. Okay, so first of all, when we get to the Marancha world, we will have a much better understanding of the Supreme. Right now, we'll just do our best, but it's very hard for a material mind to understand the Supreme Being.
对，当我们进入灵智世界的时候，我们可能对至高者有更深的了解，但是现在用物质心智是很难对至高者神有那个深刻的理解的。
So hold on. We're talking about the actual meaning of progressive approach to the Marancha consciousness of the initial relationship of evolutionary soul with the emerging Supreme Being. Okay. So the Supreme Being is the evolving God. It's like a God in progress. It's a part of God, but it's an experiential God.
这个至高者神呢，是演化中的神，是在进步中的神，是一个那个经验性的神。
God has enabled a part of himself to encompass everything that's happening in the universes that's happening, that hasn't happened yet. So he is evolving with us while we're all evolving, even though a part of God never changes and is eternal and has always known, been everything. He has allowed a part of himself to evolve with us, to be created while we're being created, to grow while we're growing. And it encompasses everything that's happening in the universes, this evolving God.
对，那神呢有能力使他的一部分那包含所有的过去发生、正在发生、将要发生的，所以他是跟我们一起演化，然后就是跟我们一起成长。那么它包含所有在宇宙当中发生的一切。
Hold on. So you could think of it like an interactive God, like a God that we unconsciously and consciously, if we could do it consciously, if we understood it better, but definitely unconsciously, we're interacting with this God. Our actions affect this God, but because we're interacting with this supreme being, he's also interacting with us. So there's like a back and forth all the time, where it's like we're all in this together.
那么就可以想象，它是一个与我们一直在进行互动的神呢。我们下意识的就是一直在跟他进行这种信息互换，我们影响这个神，这个至高者神，那个跟至高者神影响我们，就是一直在进行这样一种互动，没有停止。
It's like this supreme being is directly involved in everything that's happening, even in the material worlds.
那么这个互动的至高者神呢，是直接的参与到我们这个物质界的一切的活动。
Even with every animal, with every plant, with every insect, with every photon of light, is completely involved in every aspect of creation.
那么他也参与到这个其他的动物啊、植物啊、昆虫啊，这个那个量子啊，就是光啊，就所有的它的受造物的一切的活动。
As our soul is a product of our thought adjuster and our mind working together, and this soul evolves throughout our lifetime.
我们的灵魂呢，是像调整者与我们的心智结合的产生的产物。那么它在我们的人生这个经验当中一直在这个进化。
The more it evolves, the closer it gets to being like the mind we will have on the first Marancha world.
这进化的越多嘛，就是越跟我们灵智性世界的这个心识越相近。
When we get to the first Marancha world, we'll still be us. We'll be the same person, same personality, but we'll have a different mind. We'll have our thought adjuster will preserve all of our memories. Our angels will record everything that happened, but we'll have a new mind, and it will be our evolving soul, will be the essence of that new mind.
当我们进入第一个载下世界的时候，我们还保留同一个人格，但是呢，我们的心识就不同了。然后像调整者会保留我们一切的记忆，然后呢，但是呢，我们就是用这个进化的这个灵魂作为我们的心识了，大概是这个意思。
The mortal mind is influenced by the adjutant spirits from the creative mother spirit of the local universe. They're adjutant spirits. That's what influences our mortal mind.
Adjutant.
Adjutant.
是那个七个辅助之灵。Mortal mind is what? Can you repeat that? Mortal mind.
I'm going to try to find it. I'm going to try to find it in what it's in what I just read. I'm going to try to find it because it'll be easier for you to translate. Hold on.
凡人的心智是什么？地方造物母灵。七个心灵助手。是这几个词不知道怎么连起来的。
The last paragraph I read, it says from the 7th to the 3rd circle, there occurs increased and unified action of the 7 adjutant mind spirits. Do you see that?
Where is it?
The last paragraph I just read. It starts with from the 7th to the 3rd.
Which paragraph?
Scroll down, keep scrolling down.
Scroll
这个
up.
是110的开头，好像就是说从第7圈到第1圈是7个辅助之
Here,
灵。
here, stop. Yeah, there it is.
20.
110,
7
620.
个心灵助手，第7圈到第3圈，7个心灵助手逐渐渐进统一和加强合作，使凡人心智摆脱对物质生活机制的实相的依赖。But you also mentioned a local mother of spirit.
Yes, because I just wanted you to see it because so you can translate it. The 7, the adjutant mind spirits.
对，辅助心灵这个助手或者辅佐心灵、辅佐心智之灵，这7个辅佐心智之灵，或者是我这另外一个版本，在 Zoom 上面我是7个心灵副手啊，都是同样的，都是代表那7 adjutant mind spirits。
The 7 adjutant mind spirits come from the local mother spirit of, the mother spirit of the local universe. That's Jesus's partner in the local universe.
这7个这个辅佐心智之灵呢，实际上是来自这个地方造物母灵。那么地方造物母灵呢，是跟这个地方造物之子也就是耶稣那个这个级别的这个，他们是共同创造了地方宇宙这样的关系。Okay, got it.
So the way it works is the adjutant spirits, each spirit governs a different part of your mind. The lower spirits are the part of our minds that we share with the animals. You know, animals think, they have minds too. We share the same adjutant mind spirits with the animals, but when we get to the higher spirits, like the spirit of worship, or the spirit of worship, or maybe high philosophical philosophy, the animals don't have those adjutant spirits don't influence my animal minds, only human minds.
那么我们这个意识心识的层次就是有层次之别嘛，那就是我们这个心识有跟动物那个共同的那种的动物心识，当然还有更高的心识，像什么敬拜啊，还是哲理性的思考啊，这些是那个7个辅佐心智之灵，就是帮我们的区域。
But, I keep saying in this group that we can theoretically and potentially start living our Marancha life here. We can slowly, step by step, get closer and closer to a Marancha type of thinking and living and being. And this is what this is talking about. It's saying that as we progress through these psychic circles or cosmic levels, we are developing our soul. Wait, I have to let you translate.
那就是我说过很多遍，其实我们即使在这个肉身物质界，也有这个潜力能够活出灵智界的这个心灵层次。那么慢慢的一步一步的，就是接近那个灵智性的思考模式，那么取得进步，达到这种宇宙的级别。
So what's happening is we are, as we progress now, some people don't progress through the circles in this life. That's okay. You can do it in the Marancha world.
那么有些人大概他没有沿着7个心灵圆圈去进步，但是没关系，你还可以在灵智性在下世界去进行这样的进步。
But as you progress, you're learning to use your soul to start thinking in a more to the higher. You're using the higher adjutant spirits more, the spirit of worship, the spirit of philosophy, and you're thinking more with your soul and less with the material mind circuits. Those adjutant circuits are just for material minds. We won't use those circuits when we get to the Marancha world. We'll no longer use those. We'll just use our soul. Our soul has a completely different energy source.
对。那么就是随着我们的进步呢，用越多的采用这个灵魂那个层次的思考模式，更多的用这个敬拜的灵、敬拜之灵，还有这个哲理化思考之灵，而更少的利用这个物质性的回路。那么对它这个它是用不同的这个能量的。
Remember, our soul was created by God, the thought adjuster, and our mind working together. Whenever our mind works well, works in good alignment, and it has a good understanding, reaches a new height, is augmented by the thought adjuster, that immediately develops our soul further.
那你记住这个，我们的灵魂哈是思想调整者，也就是神跟我们的心识合作的那个产物。那么如果我们的心识工作良好，跟这个神的意志呢比较的相合，那么它就会提高我们的那个灵魂，就是灵魂得到发展，提高灵性，就我们的灵魂就得到进展、发展、进步。
So what they're saying is that as we develop through these cosmic levels, these circles, it's like we're graduating to higher levels of thinking, and we become less dependent on the 7 adjutant mind spirits. We start using our soul to think. In this world, we can, or we can just rely on the 7 adjutant mind spirits. Some people hardly ever even use the worship or the philosophy. They just stick to the lower ones and have an animal-like existence. But we can go higher and higher and use the higher spirits, let that, be influenced by them more. And then we start using our soul to think, and we start thinking with our soul, and then we wean. It says here, the master of the first, it says here, in the task of weaning the mortal mind from its dependence on the realities of material life mechanisms, preparatory to increased introduction to Marancha levels of experience. So before we go to the Marancha worlds, we can get an introduction to those levels of experience by thinking with our soul more. And the more we do that, then the less we rely on the adjutant mind spirits. So we can possibly, theoretically, start almost being a Marancha being before we even leave this planet. It's possible. And if you reach your first circle, that cosmic level, then you are already thinking. You're not thinking like a Marancha person, but but much more like one than most people.
那么它相当于你就是在7个辅佐心智之灵的帮助下呢，你就慢慢的更多的用灵魂去思考。那么在这个世界上就是比较少用动物性的存在的模式去思考，那么更多的受这个神性影响。当你到达第一个圈的时候，那就是反正你往上那个圈越那个，你越去其实就可以不用这个7个辅助心灵助手的 指导，你用灵魂去思考之后，就不用那个助手了，相当于就是越来越独立了。
Once we develop, once we have a Marancha mind, which we can only have it, somewhat here at most, but once we become a Marancha being, then we start becoming much more aware of the supreme being, and that's when our real relationship with the supreme being begins. Right now, we can only kind of vaguely imagine it, and try to understand it, but with our material minds. But once we're in the Marancha world, we'll have an actual that's when we can have a relationship with God right now, God the Father. Right now, we're totally capable of doing that. But once and we can have a relationship with the Supreme, but it's not very clear to us. But once we get to the Marancha world, we start having a direct relationship with the Supreme Being that becomes much more clear to us.
对，当我们发展灵智性心智的时候，我们就会更多的意识到这个至高者神的存在，跟他发生真正的关系，直接的关系，也理解他更多。但是现在我们有物质性的头脑，就是没有办法得到一个很清晰的，就是对他的理解。
So these cosmic circles, these psychic circles or cosmic levels, you can call them either one, they are really preparing us for the Marancha experience, which will bring us closer to the Supreme Being.
对，那么就是这个心灵圆圈啊，或者是宇宙层次啊，这个达成就是为我们准备我们这个灵智性的体验，那么这跟那个至高者神更接近。
And this relationship has nothing to do with our material mind.
那么这种关系呢，跟我们的物质性心智没有任何关系。
And that's why it says right up here, and it is this very relationship that makes it forever impossible fully to explain the significance of the cosmic circles to the material mind. It says right here, it's impossible to fully explain this to our material minds. So the only way to really understand this is to try to think with our souls, because our material minds can't understand this.
他就说我们的物质心智永远没有办法理解这种关系，那只有是用灵魂思考那个层次才能够理解。
Well, they can a little bit, because I think my material mind is starting to understand it a little bit, but
他说也可以啊，部分性的。那么我的物质心识也正在慢慢的理解这个事儿。
because it doesn't say it's impossible, it says it's forever impossible to fully explain the significance of the cosmic circles. We can understand it, but not fully, not with our material mind, but we can understand it with our soul.
不是说完全不能，他只说不能完全的用物质心智了解，并不是说物质心智完全不能了解，只是不能完全的了解的很清楚。
Now, another very important thing that it's saying to us, which I did talk about a little bit last week, is that we have a relationship with God, and that has nothing to do with these 7 psychic circles or cosmic levels, or our soul can be hardly developed at all. For instance, we can be 6 years old and have a very close relationship with God, and we can die and go right to the Marancha world and be just fine. So you don't have to develop your soul or have a relationship with the Supreme Being, or start thinking like a Marancha person on this life to get to the Marancha world. It can all happen there. If it doesn't happen here, it will happen there. But you do need that relationship with God. At least you have to be open to it. You have to. It's better to have it, but I think some people who don't have a relationship with God, if they're open to it, they can still get into the Marancha world. But it's better. But what I'm saying is that these psychic circles have nothing to do with your relationship to God. It's a separate issue, except it is God the Supreme, but it's much more about your soul and the Marancha thinking.
他说你的这心灵圆圈跟你跟神的关系没有绝然的关系，那么你可能六岁，但是跟神非常接近，你也是能够去到宅下世界的。那么你只是要就是获得续存，就是你就是唯一的条件，你就是要对神要就是比较开放的思想，开放的态度，这达到续存，这是他心灵圆圈跟你的续存没有决然的关系，你完全可以在在下世界灵智体的时候继续发展你的灵魂。
So if you reach your third circle or your first circle, even your first circle, you have maybe a more universal understanding of God, more of a little more understanding of God the Supreme. You have a more you're already thinking of yourself as a universe citizen. You have a deeper, more philosophic understanding of life, but you don't necessarily have a closer relationship to God the Father. You can have that at any circle, at any age, at any time. But what's between you and God has nothing to do with all this other stuff.
对，那你可能就是在达到第三个或者甚至第一个圆圈的时候，得到更多的宇宙级别的对至高者神的理解，你成为一个宇宙的公民，对生活有更哲理性的了解。但是呢，这跟你是不是跟神有密切的关系，也没有绝然的那个联系。
Some young children have very, very strong faith and very strong belief in God and a close relationship with God.
那有一些小孩子，他对神有非常的强的信念非常近的关系。
So, hold on one second. So now they're saying that your relationship with God the Father requires, especially for us Agandantars, but it requires faith.
Where is it?
Where's that? That's the now I'm talking about the second paragraph that says the motivation of faith makes experiential the full realization of man's sonship with God. That's how it's the second paragraph. The first one was perhaps these psychic circles. The second one is the motivation of faith. I think you might have to scroll up.
Motivation. I couldn't find the words. It's 619. No?
Well, see, my book doesn't have the motivation of faith. So go to the top where we first started reading, perhaps these psychic circles. There it is. There it is. You just passed it. Go down, go down, go down. Go down, scroll down. You just passed it. Scroll down. Next page. Here it is. The motivation of faith. 110:617.
Yeah.
That's what I'm reading. So you only need faith to have a relationship with God the Father, the thought adjuster.
对，
Or
那么 跟神的关系，跟父的关系，只需要有比较强的信念。
But to achieve, but the way to achieve your psychic circles and your to have deeper cosmic understanding of the universe and of life is to make decisions. It's actions. So faith is what you feel, what you think. Actions is what you do. You have to actually do things. You have to have experience. See, the supreme being is all about experience. So you have to have experience to understand the experience. You get closer to the supreme through your experience. It's an experiential God.
对，你这个强的信念之后，你还要付诸行动，那么做决定，付诸行动，那么至高者神就是关于经验的，那么你做才能获得经验。
You can sit on a hill and pray all day long, every day, and get very close to God, but you won't reach your psychic circles that way.
那么你可以坐在山上一直祷告，但是你不能够达成这个心灵圆圈，通过那种方式。
You have to go out in the world and interact with others. Could be a cat, could be a dog, but it has to be somebody. And you have to make decisions all the time. Decisions.
对，那么你要进到世界当中，与这个世界进行互动，你可以是猫啊、狗啊，任何的角色，去做决定，去获得经验。
Like my dream of being the spaceship captain. That was all about a supreme decision. A decision like that, that's what gets you through your cosmic circles. That decision didn't make me necessarily closer to God, but it definitely developed my soul in that dream.
Yeah. 那么就是比如说我那个梦，就在这个宇宙飞船上面做船长，那么做出了至高的决定，那么他这个不一定是我跟神更接近，但是一定是对我的灵魂的进展发展是有用的，有益的。
Yeah, put it like this.
Sorry, I don't understand very well this paragraph. I think belief is faith is just a standpoint. Then we reach the cosmic level through the actions, right?
And actions and decisions, right? Both, because you think you have to remember last week I said even making a wrong decision is better than making no decision. In order to progress, right? It's like going to school. You can't just go and be in the 8th grade. You have to go through 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. You have to learn your basic math before you can learn geometry. There's no way to skip it. You have to go through things to develop. Wait, yeah, I'll let you translate.
对，那么就是沈丽就提到这个就是信仰跟行动的关系哈，那个海蒂再进一步强调那个行动呢，做决定的重要性。那么你不是直接一下子蹦到8年级，你要从1年级啊到4年级啊，就这样一步一步的来。你们如果不懂得基本的数学，你怎么能学好几何呢？
sorry， 就是海蒂刚才说，就灵魂的进步跟信仰不是一回事，但这一段又说，就信仰是动力，然后通过决定跟行动来达成这个宇宙圈，所以这个宇宙圈灵魂的进步跟信仰实际上是关联，就成正比的，是吧？我是这么理解。
Shirley still confused about the faith and the progress of the soul.
I'm going to explain. So,
Okay.
so you have two children, twin girls. They're 10 years old.
那么你有那个两个双胞胎，孩子都是10岁的女孩。
They both believe in God with all their heart. They both have very strong faith.
那么他们都非常的信神，那个非常的对，都非常的强大的信仰。
There's no problem. If they die, they're going to go to the Marancha world. There's no problem with either one.
那么他们两个就是如果去世，都会进到宅下世界，那没有问题的。
If they die today, they're both going to go to the Marancha world together, the first world, and start exactly together on the same place.
那么他们如果今天死了，都会去到第一个宅下世界那对同样的地方。
But now let's say it's 10 years later. Now they're 20 years old. One of them has stayed in her room and she's become a nun and she's prayed and prayed and prayed, and she never had to make any decisions. All of her meals were taken care of. Everything was taken care of for her. She was told what to do, where to go. All she had to do was pray and look nice and, be nice. But the other one went through grade school, went through middle school, went through high school, went through college, but not our schools. It was a cosmic school. So learning about cosmic things. So she was constantly making, well, I'll let you translate that.
那么但是到20岁呢，就是这10年，然后有一个孪生姐妹，有一个呢，她就是天天待在屋里啊，她成为一个尼姑啊，或者是女修士哈，她就是天天祷告啊，就是她不用做任何的实际上的生活的决定，那么都有人给她送饭啊，去哪里啊，做什么都是有人安排的，那么她那个看起来非常好啊，但是另外一个呢，她要经历各种的学校，低到高，然后
she went to school and she failed, and then she graduated. She started a business and it failed, and then it succeeded. She went to another country and she got kidnapped, and then she got found. She was in a tsunami, but she survived.
那么她就是在学校当中也经历有一些的科目可能就是没有通过呀，最后她终于毕业了，然后做生意也有几个成功失败，然后到另外一个国家还被那个绑架的经验，然后经历过这个海啸也生存下来了。
But the point is, hold on just one second. Hello, this is Heidi. Hello. Hello, can I help you? Okay, listen, I'm in the middle of a meeting with people in China, so but I would like to be taken off your list, okay? Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. So this person, the 20-year-old, they both have just as strong faith, but the 20-year-old, she's learned how to survive. She's learned how to conquer her fear, how to conquer her doubts. She's learned how to interact with all kinds of different people. Her soul has been developing. She's had to make so many decisions. Every time she makes a decision, she grows in some way.
对，那么这个20岁的这个后者呢，他就是不但有这个很强的信念哈，然后他还是学了很多的生存的技巧，知道怎么样克服恐惧和疑虑，然后呢，懂得与各种的人打交道，那么他的灵魂就得到了很大的发展和成长。通过就是在不同的情形下做决定，得到了发展。
She has had friends who have betrayed her. She got married and her husband died. She had to learn not to be a victim, but to be a survivor, to be a happy universe citizen. No matter what happens, she learned to be strong. She learned to rely on herself. She's been developing her soul every time she made a decision not to be a victim, but to be a happy person no matter what happens. Her soul developed, her soul grew. The other ones, just everything's been easy. She still believes in God, but she hasn't had to make any tough decisions.
那么就是她经历过朋友的背叛，那个结婚了，然后丈夫死了，她就是学习在各种情况下不把自己当成一个牺牲品，那么就是一直能够生存下来，就是坚强的依靠自己来过幸福的生活。那么她的灵魂在这个过程当中就得到成长。那么另外一个，她一直生活很平顺，也没有经历过这些的苦难的磨练。
So it's hard to understand, but I'm trying to make it easy by just saying you have that relationship with God. When you go through when you make all these decisions, your soul, if you're making good decisions, your soul is growing every time. Your belief in God is not necessarily becoming stronger. It might, but it might not. It might be so strong to begin with that it can't be any stronger. But your soul is developing. Does that make any sense?
那么你就是这很难懂，但是呢，我想要把这个事情弄得简单一点。那么你跟神的关系哈，你要是就是做了对的决定，那么你的灵魂就发展。你有很强的信念，你不见得一定就是说你的灵魂会成长的很好。你可能一开始就是就会就是开始是很好的，但是这个大概进展和进步大概是需要不断的做决定，才能滋养灵魂的成长，就这个意思。
So in other words, if actions weren't important and decisions weren't important, we wouldn't have this material life. We wouldn't need it.
就是如果行动不重要，决定不重要，我们根本不需要经历这个物质层的这个生活。
We're trying to learn how to survive and keep our faith and do the will of God in the most difficult possible situations.
我们呢，就是在这个，就是在这个物质层学习怎么样生存啊，保留，也就是坚守我们的信念，就是执行神的旨意，然后做最困难的决定。
So faith is something that some people don't have to work for. They don't have to, they're born with it. They naturally believe in God. So others have to work their way to it, make a decision. But some people just have faith automatically. They don't have to make any decision. They just believe in God. They can't not believe in God.
那么这个信仰的问题呢，就是有的人他生来就有很强的信念，他根本不用在这个上面下什么功夫啊，就自动的、自然的，他就有这个信仰。
But believing in God will guarantee your survival. But choosing to do the will of God will develop your soul also.
那么就是你相信神呢，他就是能够保证你的续存，但是呢，主动的照神的意志来生活，能够发展你的灵魂。
when you choose to do the will of God, that's a personal choice. Your angels, your thought adjuster, no one is influencing you. That's you, your free will. One day, first you believe in God, and then one day you have this urge deep inside you, and you realize that believing is not enough. You want to do God's will. You want to dedicate yourself to being God's servant. That's a decision. When you feel that urge, you can ignore it or you can make the decision. But you know in your heart, when you make that decision, it won't necessarily make your life easy. It may make it even harder, but you know you have to do it.
对，那么就是你决定实行神的旨意，做出这样的选择，那么这是出于你的自由意志，没有天使来影响你。你相信神，你从里边有这种的渴望去做神要你做的，那么把这整个的生命贡献给神，做神的仆人，这样的决定，你在心里边知道这个并不一定很容易，但是你还是做出了这样的至高决定。
I believe that this decision to do the will of God, it can't just be an intellectual thing. Yeah, I want to do the will of God. Sure. It's not that simple. It's a unbelievably deep and profound urge. If you make that decision, I believe that decision is the most important decision you'll ever make in all of eternity, for your entire eternal life, because it will determine it's really your birth you will be born. That's being born again. The Christians call it being born again, but that's what it is. You are born again when you do that. You become a different person. It changes you.
对，那个这种决定不光是智性的，那个但是是非常的深远的，是非常的深刻的这么一种的冲动最高冲动，是你能做的最重要的决定。那么永恒里，在永世里最重要的决定，那这个决定你的重生，相当于像你的重生。所以那个基督徒他们。拿洗礼代表一种重生嘛，就是说你相当于是成为一个不同的人。
So every time you make a decision, because we're mortal beings on a finite material world, every time you make a decision, you're using your material mind and your free will, and it helps you to function better in the material world, but it also helps you to combine the spiritual world with the material world and become a more balanced person. It helps you to function better in the material world, but also with that spiritual component, so that you're living your life in both worlds at the same time.
Yeah， 那么你每次呢，在这样一个有限的物质世界里边做出决定，那么用你的自由意志，那么你在这个世界呢，就是发挥功用，发挥的更好，同时也结合了你灵性的进展。那么这样的话呢，你成为一个比较更平衡的人格，就相当于你就是物质世界和灵性的成分都发展了。
See, it says here, but choosing to do the will of God joins spiritual faith to material decisions in personality action, and thus supplies a divine and spiritual fulcrum for the more effective functioning of the human and material leverage of God. So you function more effectively. It helps you in every way. When you decide to do the will of God, it changes you. It makes you more effective as a human being.
对，他这句话就是11.110.617后一句哈，选择按照神的旨意行事，将属灵的信仰与人格行为中的物质决定联系起来，从而为对神之渴慕的人类和物质杠杆的更有效运作提供了一个神圣和属灵的支点。
You
这
don't
种
know. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You don't know this. When you make that decision, that's not why you make it. You don't know that's going to happen, but it does happen.
对，你不知道这个决定的那个影响，但是这种的确是有巨大的影响。
So making decisions in the material world is how you learn to operate effectively in this world. So if you want to graduate to the next world, you have to learn to operate effectively in this world. You have to master it. You have to become a master of the material world around you.
那么你就是相当于你就是要学习怎么样在这个物质世界操作更有效的操作。那么你想毕业到下一个世界，那么必须要掌握这个世界的操作。
And that has to do with learning to get along with other people, learning to work with people, conquering your fears, putting yourself in situations that you're afraid of and learning to master them, things like that.
对，比如跟人和谐相处啊，跟人一起工作呀，克服恐惧啊，这些的都是需要学习的功课。
You may believe in God, but you might not know how to do anything. You might be like a totally incompetent person.
Yeah, it's unbalanced. 他说你可能非常信
Yes,
神，但是你可能是现实生活中非常无能那么一个人。
So it's not just imbalanced, it's also incompetent. You can't become a good piano player without practicing.
对，那么你就是不光是不平衡，而实际上无能。你不实践，你不操作，不练习，怎么能成为一个钢琴家？
So you have to go out and do things, and sometimes you can grow the most by doing things that might be uncomfortable for you at first.
那么就是要出去做事，虽然有可能去到你可能并不太对，就离开你的舒适圈。
But it's not the successes or the achievements that matter. It's the trying that matters. It's the attitude that matters.
对，不是说你只在物质界的，就是做什么事情取得成功那么重要，而是说你愿意尝试，你的态度更重要。
If you do something and you fail and you say, God hates me, the world sucks, it's because I'm Chinese, or it's because I'm a woman, or it's because I grew up in a poor family, or I didn't go to college, nothing ever works for me, everything's against me. That's one person. The other person fails, falls down on their face, and they get up and they say, okay, bring it on. We're going to try this again. I'm just going to keep trying till I make it. That's two different attitudes. It's the same situation. It's not the situation that matters. It's the attitude.
Yeah. 那么就是你如果遭遇失败呢，两种的态度，一种的你就是很讨厌这个厌世哈，你说这是真倒霉，我总是倒霉。因为我是一个中国人，因为我是一个女人，因为我家庭贫穷，因为我没有上过大学，我对那个总是事事跟我作对。 那如果另外一个人呢是经历失败，他可能选择爬起来，重新来，再重新尝试，一直到那个把事情做通了。不是你这个遇到的情形什么样的，而是你的态度更重要。
But when you fail and you want that good attitude and you don't have it, then you can rely on your faith. That's when you can play the what if game, or you can say, I know God loves me. I know things always work out for me. I know there's always a reason for everything. I know I'm going to survive. I know I'm going to succeed. I just have to believe in God. Everything will be okay. And then you can have that. That's your faith. You use your faith to have a better attitude.
那么你的信仰呢？当你没有办法有好态度的时候，信仰就可以切入进来帮助你，可以做那个如果怎么样，就是那个小的，就是属灵游戏，然后你知道一切的发生后面都是有理由的，你就是要相信神，信靠神来度过难关。
So if you're afraid of failure, then you won't take the risk. You won't go out and do it. Don't be afraid to fall on your face. It's okay. You just get up again and try again. It's not that big a deal. Failure is not that big a deal as we think. That God doesn't care how much you fail. He loves you when you keep trying. He loves you he loves you anyway, but he really, it makes him very happy when you keep trying. That's all he wants. That's all. There's not that much required of us. It's not that complicated. We just have to have a good attitude.
Yeah. 那么神是不 care 我们那个失败多少次的，失败本身也并不是那么大不了的事情。我们失败了，就是再试呗，再爬起来重新试呗，就是没有什么大不了的事。
So what happens is you can keep trying things, you can keep making decisions, and your soul is going to keep growing. And now you also have faith. So those two things start working together, your developing soul and your faith, and it keeps developing. And then when you reach your third circle, then God has a lot more power in your life. He's able to help you in ways that he wasn't able to help you before.
那么你就是继续总是持续不断的做决定，那么在长养你的灵魂，同时有对神有不坚定的信仰。那么当你达到第3个圆圈的时候，神在你的生活当中就会有更大的权力权柄去给你力量，然后来帮助你。
So you can be extremely spiritual, have very strong faith, but not be able to make a decent living. You might be so poor you don't know where your next meal is coming from. That doesn't affect your faith. You can have extremely strong faith and be poverty stricken.
对，你可能有非常强的信仰信念，但是呢，你可能根本就没有办法过很体面的生活，就是都不知道下一餐在哪里。
But now you've developed your soul. You've had all these experiences. You've made decisions. You failed, you succeeded here, you failed there. You hurt that person, you regretted it, then you tried something else and you did really help that person. You made all these decisions. And you're learning how to make good decisions, and you're learning how to survive in the material world. Well, then you have great potential to be very prosperous. You might not be prosperous yet, but you have the potential because you're learning how to handle material things. And prosperity on the material world is a material thing. It's not a spiritual thing. But you're becoming good at material things. You're learning how to master them with a combination of experience and faith.
Yeah. 对，那么你可能就是不停的做决定呢，有 这个你决定不太好，就是后悔了重来。然后呢，你在这个过程当中呢，你就是不断的来掌握这个那个物质世界的一些的那个操作，然后你就有更大的潜能获得这种那个那个这个丰盛啊，你就是能够掌握这个世界的运作。就是这样的话，你就是结合了你的经验和你的信仰。
That's why when we were reading about the 7 psychic circles, they kept emphasizing not to get overly material, not to get overly spiritual, to keep that balance. Because if you want to have spiritual experiences and be a very spiritual person, if you're drawn to that, just know that you have all of eternity, the entire eternity, forever. You'll never die. You have forever to have spiritual experiences, but you only have one short life to live on a material world. Only this is it, your last chance.
就是所以学习7个心灵圆圈哈，就是要去明白，那么我们就是要取得灵性跟物质世界的一种平衡。那么我们在永恒里有多的是的时间去获得灵性的认识和进步，但是你在物质世界你就只有这么一次的生命，物质生命。那么所以这个物质世界的经验很重要。
We have to learn to see this. It's very difficult because it's a spiritual universe and we're spiritual beings. So being on a material world is very awkward for us and it's hard. And a lot of times things don't make sense, but we have to see it as a great opportunity. Very few beings get this opportunity to be immortal. Only mortals. We're the only ones in all the thousands and thousands of beings in the universe. We're the only ones who get to be a mortal being and then a spiritual being.
对，那么我们本来就是灵性的，本质就是灵性的，所以在物质界呢，会觉得非常的奇怪，也很困难，但是呢，也是一个很好的机会，因为我们就是作为凡人哈，就是你又是灵性的存有，又做凡人，这个是非常难得的机会。
So the psychic circles, the cosmic levels are like, it's like universe school. It's like mortal spiritual school. It's like saying, hey, you're doing very good. You're very well balanced. You're balancing your spiritual and your material very well. We're going to send you to the next level. You're achieving things. You're learning how to master this crazy world. Your attitude's very good. You're making good decisions. Now we're going to send you to the next level. Does it have to do with your faith? I mean, you're motivated by your faith. It's increasing your faith. Your faith is helping you to do this, but it's different.
对，那么就是我们相当于被送到凡人灵性学校，那么就是有可能被判定说我们能够在这个能够掌握物质世界的运作，应该取得了一定的成就，并且就是态度也很好啊，在这个信念的这个帮助下，这个掌握了这个世界的运作，那么可以进到下一个级别的学校了。
Shunli, do you have a little better is it a little, do you understand it a little better now?
Not fully, because I remember 就是我记得就之前讲过没有完全理解，就是因为之前讲过，就是灵魂成长有助于我们保持一个真正的信仰，因为如果是 灵魂不成长，但是又灵性高度发展的话，容易陷入一种迷信，就是宗教狂热之类的迷信，容易误入歧途。所以我记得前面说过，就是灵性成长跟信仰是就是保持信仰，灵性成长是保持信仰必须的一个成长，并不是两个可以独立发展的，就是。
对，对你这个 point 很好，是这样子。Yeah,
Vicky?
yeah, yes, yeah, Shirley, relate to whatever we have learned before that it should be balanced, the soul growth and the true, the true faith, spiritual faith. If only developing spiritual faith, you might fall into superstition or distort the spiritual message. So that's why the soul growth, balanced growth, can help us to gain healthy development, whole person, healthy development.
But it's not, but tell her it's not just the balance. It's also, he say right here, the motivation of faith makes experience of the full realization of man's sonship with God. Okay, so faith is going to make you understand your relationship with God, but action, completion of decisions is essential to the evolutionary attainment of consciousness, of cosmic, of the supreme. Okay, so they're talking about the cosmic actuality of the supreme being, but that's the same thing as developing your soul and achieving the circles. The three things are the same: developing your soul, achieving your cosmic circles, and developing a relationship with the supreme being. They're the same thing. We don't quite know, we don't know that, but they're all very interrelated. And they're saying action, completion of decisions is essential. So it's not just the balance is super, super important, but it's also remember, you don't have to do this. You don't have to complete these circles. You'll be okay if you don't, but if you want to, you have to do it through acting, going out in the world and making decisions, making choices.
对，他就说这个三个是一回事，就是说你的行动就是相当于你这个决定的完成嘛。这个是对都是三重意义，一个是灵性的成长啊，第二个就是就是完成心灵圆圈儿，第三个就是相当于至高者之神的神之至高者的这个演化，相当于你的这个行动可以达成这三个目的。不光是得到你这个平衡的人格，对，它就是有重大的意义，行动本身，对，三方面的价值完成。
So it's like learning. It's like learning the tricks of the trade, becoming a good, not just surviving, not just loving God, but becoming a very accomplished citizen of the world, knowing how to get around, knowing how to travel, knowing that someone can throw you into a situation and you're going to survive. You're going to figure it out. This is your circle achievement. It's not, you might not get a credential. You might not make money. You might not have a degree from a school, but you're getting good at doing things. You're adjusting your spiritual outlook and your physical being, material situation.
对，你就是爱神，并且又获得了这个宇宙公民的这个身份，然后知道怎么样旅行，怎么样在各种的情境下去生存，然后你可能没有什么头衔儿，或者没有多少钱，但是你知道怎么样做好事情，就是 灵性和物质方面都比较成熟。
Here, I've got a good analogy. We're
还有一
gonna
个比喻，
we're gonna put on a performance, a beautiful performance. And the performance we're gonna put on is in the Morancha world.
对，那就是比如说在灵智世界下一个我们要去的世界要开始表演，有个表演会。
Well, this world is the practice world.
那么这个世界，我们现在的世界就是一个就是排练场。
We don't have to do it very well here. We're just learning the skills. We're learning how to talk on stage. We're learning how to run across the stage or do a cartwheel across the stage or interact with other actors. We're just learning all the skills to put on this performance. Now, if we don't learn the skills here, we'll still go to the Morancha world, but then we'll have to learn the skills there. We won't be able to put the performance on as soon as we get there. We'll have to wait a long time until we learn the skills there. So what they're saying is we have the opportunity to learn the skills here. These skills I'm talking about, they're not making money or getting college degrees or becoming a doctor or a lawyer. They're the same skills that you will use throughout all eternity. They're the same skills. That's why they're cosmic levels. They're not material levels of achievement. They're cosmic levels of achievement. But what they're telling us is we can learn these to achieve these cosmic levels right here, because they're not there. We can use the material world as our practice world. Because we'll always be interacting with other people. We'll always have challenges. We'll always have disappointments. We'll always have maybe nervousness to try something we haven't tried before. So we can start overcoming. We can start growing and becoming a mature universe citizen right here by focusing on these things that aren't purely material. But they're not purely spiritual. They're right in the middle. They're soulful.
那么就是这个世界像一个排练场，我们在这儿学习到或者并且实践一些的技巧哈。那个，比如说
That's it. Ricky, are you there? Did your cat hit the mute button? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. We're on silence. If anyone's listening to this recording, I think that Ricky has hit the mute button by mistake, or her cat has. I'm trying to get her attention. I might have to call her. Yikes. Where's my phone? I can't stop the recording. Only she can, because she's the host. I think she's talking, but she doesn't know that we can't hear her. Trying to get her attention through the chat function. Hopefully we'll edit this section out when we post the recording. In when you listen to this 75 years from now. Ricky, where are you? I'm gonna try calling her. Oh. Let's see, I'm gonna call her.
我是喜欢那个
You're back.
学习经历。
It was on mute. Do you guys know I couldn't hear you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's just got a, break away, but I think it's still recording.
Yeah, I think so too. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Could you not hear anyone either? Was it just me, or was everyone on mute?
No, it's not muting. It's kind of, I was kicked off Zoom, and then now I come back.
That's funny. You okay? But yeah, because we weren't kicked off this time. Last time we were all kicked off of that. That was the other platform. Okay. Anyway, you're back. Do you remember? Do you remember what I said about the performance on the Miranda world and this being the practice world?
Yes, I heard that, and then Shenli, kind of relate her experience. Let's listen to what her experience is.
Okay.
She's comparing, making some comparison, or Shenli, what are you talking?
Yeah. The example that Hattie gave is just like my friend and me, because we are both Pure Land Buddhist, and we just recited the name of Amitabha Buddha. So she just stays home and recite Amitabha all time, and me, I just like discovery, but I didn't put myself in danger. But I like discovery and take some adventure and to learn other religion or spiritual materials. So she asked me one day that what I should do except reciting Amitabha Buddha. So I just told her that just to experience the life.
Yeah. This is whenever they talk about the supreme being, it has to do with experience.
刚才那个沈丽是说她好像跟一个姊妹都是净土宗的嘛，那就是念佛那个净土宗。她说那个姊妹大概就是以趴在家里念佛为主，但是沈丽她就喜欢探讨各种的属灵的知识啊，各种的法门啊，讲什么的，就是比较广泛的有这种好奇心去发现。那么该有一天她那个姊妹就说，那么我除了念佛之外还要怎么样做呢？然后他大概就跟那个姊妹说，你要去体验生活。他这一段的见证就相当于回应那个海蒂关于那两个孪生姊妹哈，一个就是做尼姑去逃避生活，另外一个去深入拥抱生活。那么他们所带来的体验和成长是不同的。那么海蒂就说是的，对，就联系到这个跟这个至高者神之至高者的关系，因为我们所有的经验都是相当于也帮助了神之至高者的他的演化。
但是刚刚海蒂说的就是信仰跟灵魂成长其实是可以并行的，就是不一定要连在一起。那这样的话，其实说他那样的就是只念佛，就是关在家里闭关念佛，跟我的各种的探索，这两个都不影响去往占下世界，是这样的，
对的，
可以这么理解吗？
因为你既有信仰，你还有去体验这种的冲动或者这种只要是有信仰，因为信仰是基本的，就是你达到续存的一个条件。他也能够达到续存，这个也没有问题，因为还有这个坚强的信念。
Okay, translate.
Yeah, so what Shirley want to confirm is that as long as you have strong faith in God, that you would attain eternal survival. So that's the basic requisites, right? That not regardless of your experience level.
Yes, yes. So absolutely. And they keep making this clear. The cosmic circles are not, they're related. It's all related, but you don't need these cosmic circles to know God, to meet God, to love God, to get to the Marancha world. If you don't achieve them here, you will achieve them on the Marancha world. They make that very clear.
对，那个他再一次肯定是这样子的，对，你只要就有坚定的信念，你就有机会去知道神，热爱神和跟神见面。只是7个宇宙圆圈的达成，那个是对，那个跟这个达成续存没有必然的关系。
Okay, I've got another good analogy. This one, I think it might even be better. So here, you can translate that.
它有另外一个类比。
Okay, so let's say you're in high school and you're all in high school together and you're going to go to college, but not for 3 years.
对，你们都在这个高中，然后要上大学。
You're all going to get into college, no problem. You all believe in God, which is what you need to get into college. You're all going to get into college, no problem. That's not the problem. You're going to get in.
那么你都信神，你就肯定会上大学。
But now they say here, if you want, while you're in high school, you can take these college courses. If you want, you don't have to, but if you do, then when you get to college, you're going to already know all this stuff. You're going to be able to skip a lot and go forward faster. You're already, and by the time you're done with high school, you're already going to be thinking like a college student. You're already going to be on a college level. That's what it's like.
对，他说，你可以在高中的时候就修一些大学的课呀，那就是一些 AP 的 course。那这样的话，你在大学的时候就可以，就是一些课可以免修了。就所以你在高中的时候就可以用大学的方式去思考。
So they're telling us exactly how, they're letting us know if you, now a lot of people just do, they're achievers, they're ambitious, they're driven, they want to do it and they will do it, but they're telling us how to do it. They're telling us how to do it better, how to do it faster, they're just telling us exactly how it works. It's hard to understand because they're explaining college level stuff to high school. We're still in high school, so it's hard for us to understand this college level stuff, but they're trying to explain it.
对，那就是相当于他就是告诉我们怎么样做得更好、更快。那么对我们高中生我们来说，解释大学的东西，我们是比较难理解的。但是呢，对他就是相当于我们都是高中生，他来解释大学层次的东西给我们。
They're telling us you basically have all the components you need right now to develop as a universe citizenship. You've never left your planet. You've never even been to the Marancha world. You have no idea what's out there. But the same skills are going to be required out here that you already have. Making decisions, getting along with people, tackling situations, collaborating with other people. These all conquering your fears, conquering your attitude, being in control of what you say instead of just saying things that blurt out of your mouth. All of these things you can develop right now. And these are the same skills you will need throughout all eternity.
对，就是作为宇宙公民哈，你就是你拥有那个天赋，技巧，然后做决定，那么你就是学习跟别人合作啦，怎么样克服恐惧啦，怎么样，要控制自己说什么啦，这些就是在宇宙公民的层次也都需要的这些的技巧。
And the reason you'll have potential for prosperity is remember the Chinese symbol that I wrote was prosperity?
Yeah.
The reason you will have potential is because while you're mastering yourself, you're learning to control your thoughts and your words and your actions, which you can only do by acting, by making decisions. That's the only way you can learn these things. While you're learning these things, you're becoming a master of the physical world. You're conquering circle by circle. You're conquering it. You're becoming good at it. That's why you could have prosperity, because you know how to do things. You understand things. People are drawn to you. You know how to work with people. You know how to overcome problems.
对，那么就是对那个他又想起他那次说话当中那个他那个话里边出现的那个字叫 就是丰盛的丰嘛 prosperity， 就是我们每个人都有这样的潜力潜能啊，要把这种掌握的这种潜能潜力，就是应用在我们的身口意言行方面啊，所以能够是这个掌握物质世界的这么一个主人。这样的一圈一圈的能够这样就是达成，然后呢，对，丰盛你就会体验丰盛。
You don't have to be a runner or an athlete to get into the Marancha world. But if you want to be an athlete or a runner, you're going to have to practice. You have to get up off your couch and practice. So you don't have to be a runner to get in, but if you are a runner, then you've already developed certain skills. You may not be a runner on the Marancha world, but you've developed skills by learning how to be a runner. That's what they're talking about. It's those skills you're developing.
对，你不需要做一个就是长跑运动员去进入远下世界，但是你如果在这个世界物质世界，你都会开始就是做这样的训练锻炼，你有这种的技巧，什么技巧呢？就是说怎么样做一个长跑运动员这样的技巧。
When I didn't know if I should get a dog or not. I had two very strong urges, one to get a dog and one not to get a dog, because I knew that it would change my life. I knew I'd have to walk it every day in cold weather, in the rain. I knew it would be hard to travel. I knew that it would be very expensive. So it was a tough decision, but I also knew that I would become a better person if I got a dog.
那么我有两个很强烈的愿望，一种是想要养一只狗，另一种就是不想养一只狗，因为我知道这个决定会影响我的就是生活方式，那么我可能很贵啊，它就是并且很难去，就是很不方便。你如果想去旅行，就是那只狗要托付给别人嘛。但是另外一方面，我知道养一只狗会彻底的改变我的生活。
But I didn't. That's not why I got the dog, because my heart just told me to get this. This dog needed a home, and my heart told me to get the dog.
对，那么当然这也不是我为什么决定养狗，而只是那个时候我的心就受到触动，因为看到那个无家可归的狗准备被正在招募就是领养的人，那么我就觉得他这个需要一个家。
Having this dog it has not made me believe more in God than I did before.
那么养这只狗呢，并不使我比之前更相信神，
but it has made me a little more balanced.
但是使我成为更平衡的人。
I had to make a tough decision. I had to make it was a very hard decision. Making hard decisions is very good for you.
但是我要做很难的决定，而做比较困难的决定是对你有好处的。
So, I mean, that's just one example of 10,000.
One example of 10,000.
Yeah,
就是这个就是说这个是众多的例子当中的一个OK。
yeah.
OK。
So I mean, this talking about this really helped me to understand these circles better. By explaining them, it's really helped me to understand them better.
对，谈论这些时也是我对这个心灵圆圈这个有更深的了解。
I don't know if it helped you, but it helped me.
不知道对你有没有帮助，但是对我至少有帮助。
Yeah,
but
I know it helped you. I know it helped you, Ricky, because I can always tell. I can always tell when you start to get something.
Yeah. It's this synergy makes a lot of sense. 我说
Yeah, I can always tell when it makes it.
这例子都很好，很那个。他说他知道这个，我明白了因为我如果明白了什么，他大概总是能知道心灵感应。Yeah, by telepathy, you understand that I understood. Good.
I think I could read the last paragraph.
他说他可以读最后一段了。OK。
So there's there's just two paragraphs that kind of wind it up, okay? All right. The 7 circles embrace mortal experience extending from the highest purely animal level to the lowest actual contactual Marancha level of self-consciousness as a personality experience. So Marancha self-consciousness. The mastery of the first cosmic circle signalize, which is the first circle is actually the last circle, right? The first cosmic circle signalizes the attainment of pre-Marancha mortal maturity and marks the termination of the conjoint ministry of the adjutant mind spirits as an exclusive influence of mind action in the human personality. Beyond the first circle, mind becomes increasingly akin to the intelligence of the Marancha stage of evolution, the conjoined ministry of the cosmic mind and the super adjutant endowment of the creative spirit of a local universe. I should let you translate.
这一段是倒数第2段。作为一种人格体验，7个圆圈包含了凡人从最高的纯动物层次延伸到最低的实际接触灵智性自我意识层次的经验。第一个宇宙圆圈的掌握标志着达到了准灵智性凡人的成熟，标志着作为人类个性中心识行为的唯一影响的辅助心灵助手的联合执事的结束。在第一个圈之上，心识变得越来越近似于进化的灵智性阶段的智性，这是宇宙心识和地方宇宙的造物之灵的超级辅助禀赋的联合执事。
So my comment is it's just telling us what we said, that once you achieve your first circle, which is the last circle you can achieve of the 7, you go from 7 to 1. Once you achieve number 1, the final circle, you're no longer exclusively dependent on the 7 adjutant circuits that the cosmic circuits, energy circuits that power your material mind, right? You're no longer completely dependent on them. You're starting to depend on the the same mother spirit of the local universe, but post adjutant, another type of higher power that she sends to your mind, and the cosmic mind of the master universes, right? The cosmic mind. So as a higher mind circuit, higher mind frequency, and that enables you to think in a whole new way and understand concepts that we can't conceive here. And that's why we understand the supreme being better when we're there.
对，那么这一段就是说，相当于第一个圈儿的达成，那相当于就是7个心理圆最后一个圈儿它这个达成就标志着一个我们这个凡人的成熟嘛，然后就越来越不那么完全依靠辅助心灵助手的帮助。所以就标志着这个辅助心灵助手联合指示的一个结束并且在这个圈之上呢之外呢，我们大概就是受更高的这个宇宙心识的影响然后呢就是更多的是不是参与到这个神之至高者他的这个经验的贡献当中。
So when we reach that first circle, if we reach it, we're already thinking like a Marancha person. Half, we're still using the 7 adjutant mind spirits for the mortal mind. Our mortal mind is still functioning, but we're not relying on it completely. We're now starting to use our soul, which is powered by the same mother spirit, but a higher frequency, and also the cosmic mind, which is we'll read about that soon. But I mean, there's some stuff I want to read about that. It's very cool. But okay, I say too much.
对，我们成为灵智性的个体的时候，当然我们也还有这个凡人的心识，但是我们更多的是用我们的就是灵魂思考，然后就是更高的频率，然后是宇宙的心识。
So okay, the last paragraph. Very last paragraph. Okay, this is cool. The great days in the individual careers of adjusters. Now, this is the great days for our thought adjusters. Are first when the human subject breaks through into the 3rd psychic circle, thus ensuring the monitor's self-activity and increased range of function, provided the indweller was not already self-acting. Then, when the human partner attains the 1st psychic circle, and they are thereby enabled to intercommunicate at least to some degree, and last, when they are finally and eternally fused. So those are the 3 great milestones for the adjuster. I'll let you translate.
对，他就是最后一段说到调整者个人生涯中最伟大的日子是，首先当人类主体突破到第3个心灵圆圈，从而确保了告诫者的自我活动和增加的功能范围，前提是居住者不是已经自我行动。然后当人类伙伴达到第1个心灵圆圈，从而使他们至少在某种程度上能够相互交流。最后就是第3个伟大的日子哈。最后当他们最终永远融合在一起时。
So once we reach the 3rd circle, the thought adjuster can have a lot more control or influence on us, and almost really push us towards that 1st circle. So, once we reach a third circle, it's like, okay, this guy has a universe citizenship. This guy is on his way. He's going to make it. He's going to do it. Now you can really work with him.
那么就是第一条，就是当人类主体达到第3个心灵圆圈的时候，就是思想调整者可以对主体施加更多的控制和影响，那么直接把它往第1个圆圈去推送，那么它就是变成了真正的主体，变成真正的宇宙公民。
When you reach that third circle, you get your own guardian angel, which, as we talked about, is really like your own team, because it's really 2 guardian angels, and they have two more angels, lower angels, as their assistants. So you really have a team of angels working with you. You have 4 angels all the time working with you from the moment you reach your third circle on. And you can also get your angels the moment you make that commitment to do the will of God. Whichever one comes first, you'll get your own angels.
对，那就是你到第3个心灵圆圈的时候，你就是获得你自己的个人的守护天使，那么实际上是1对，那么因为是2个主的2个副的天使，4个天使来帮助协助你啊，或者是当你就是能够做出一个至高决定，就是执行神的意志的时候，你也会获得个人的天使团队。
So that's a very important time in your life. And when you reach your third circle, and it means your thought adjuster has much more influence over you. You have 4 angels working with you all the time, and you're almost certainly going to reach that first circle now. You have a whole team helping you all the time, and you've already reached your third circle. So you already have a little more communication with your thought adjuster, and you've made a commitment to do God's will, and you're well on your way. It's a big deal. Reaching your third circle is a big deal.
对，你达到第3个圆圈就几乎是你就是几乎确定你就会往你第1个圆圈去，对，你有整个的团队来帮助你，那么你就是真正的上路了。
You are becoming a universe citizen.
成为这个宇宙公民。
Now, then when you reach your first circle, the reason I said before that I think, I could be wrong, this is just me, but I think that when you make that commitment to do God's will, I think it's the most important thing you'll ever do in your entire career, is because when you fuse with your thought adjuster, I don't think you make a decision. I think you fuse when you're ready. It's like you're so aligned with God and so in harmony with God that you just are ready to fuse. That's what I think. I don't think you say, "Oh, I'm ready to fuse now." I don't think it works that way. So, but the commitment to do God's will, that's a decision. And you don't have to make it on this world. Some people make it on the Maracha world. But I think that decision is the most important decision of your life. But if you do make that decision, whenever you make it, you'll get your own guardian angels.
对，他就说做出决定要执行神的旨意，这个是你的决定，但是最终的融合跟思想调整融合是你这个做了决定，然后跟神的意志相和谐哈。当你准备好了的时候，就自然的发生融合，这个不是一个决定的事情，是你就是当你就是一切就成长成熟的那个地步，自然而然发生的事情。
And then for the thought adjuster, when you reach your first circle, that's a very, very important milestone achievement for your thought adjuster, because now now they can start talking to you. Now you can start communicating. Now it says at least to some degree. So some people, you know, a lot of people, they just talk to God. God talks to them. It's no problem. Others, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get a dream. Sometimes they get a hunch or an urge. Sometimes they hear a voice in their mind. They know it's God. Sometimes, you know, it's different for every person. But there's definitely communication, intercommunication that they're consciously aware of.
对，达到第一个心灵圆圈，相当于就是像朝圣者跟你就交流比较没有障碍。那么，对，你可以在梦里边，或者是在头脑里头，对你都更自觉的意识到神跟你直接的一种交流了。
So and then the third big achievement or big important milestone in the life of your thought adjuster, in their relationship with you, is when you fuse. That's and that rarely happens on this planet, but it will happen. It usually happens on the Morancha world. It could happen on Jerusalem. You could go through all the Morancha worlds and still not fuse, and then get to Jerusalem, the system capital, and fuse there. But usually it happens on the Morancha worlds. In a planet that's more developed, very evolved in light and life, then you fuse right. Most of the people will fuse right on the planet, and you know, and then they don't die. They don't go through natural death. They will fuse, and then they're on the Morancha world.
Get down. OK， 那就是当第一这一般跟这个思想朝圣者融合，大概基本上不太发生在那个物质世界、物质生命。那么，基本上在那个灵智世界啊，甚至再往后是在耶路撒冷。那当然在那些锚定在生命和光里边的星球上，有可能就是这个是在肉身生命当中就可能发生的，所以这些人呢，融合的时候，他们是不用经历我们平常意义的死亡。
So those are the three big milestones. So that's
That's
so
it.
that's it for the 7 psychic circles, and that's pretty important stuff, though. That's
Yeah.
It's really, really good to know about that. And this book is the only place you'll ever hear about this.
对，这个是关于心灵圆圈的这一篇，对，这是在这本书当中唯一谈到心灵圆圈的这一篇。
You'll only hear it here, kids.
对，别的地方是没有不讲述这个的，所以这一章是很难的哈。Yeah, it's very hard to chew, very hard bone to chew.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but you know, it'll become more clear when we read about the cosmic mind and this more about the soul. We're going to read about the soul in the next paper, and the supreme being. You know, it'll all become a little easier. But I think the best and easiest way to understand it is just that you're becoming a cosmic citizen. You're learning all those skills right here now that'll set you up, you know, that you'll use for the rest of your life. Not on this world. You'll take those skills with you. If you think of it that way, I think it makes really easy, much easier to understand.
他说以后我们会读到宇宙心智啦，神之至高者啊，然后下一篇读这个关于灵魂的，大概都读过了，在读过了这些像朝圣者的篇章之后，都会好像显得容易一些。那么这一篇呢，它就是主要的信息就是说你要在这儿充分的利用这个机会，好好学习，好好训练，好好的做这个就发展自己各方面的 技巧，然后在以后的世界上都用得着，就是这样的一个总的信息是这样的。
And you're mastering, you're embracing the material world, this life. You're grabbing it. You're diving in. You're embracing it. You're saying, bring it on, bring it on. You're not trying to escape from this world. You're diving right in. That's a good way to think of it too.
他说你要拥抱这个世界，抓住它，然后潜水就是深深的潜下去。你要说啊，再来吧，就是不要任何的逃避逃避任何的挑战，任何的题目，生活当中的题目，你要迎头去迎接这样的挑战。
And another thing, that I never say, but I think, and the book doesn't say it either. No one ever says it, but when the book describes the architectural worlds where we'll be spending a lot of time, like most of our time, right? The architectural worlds are the worlds that are created. They're not naturally evolved worlds like the inhabited planets like Earth, right?
对，他提到这个建筑的世界，不是自然发生的世界，是建筑的世界，人造的世界。
They're incredibly beautiful.
Where is the architectural world?
Well, all the Marancha worlds are more architectural. All the capitals, the system capital is architectural. All the constellation headquarters is architectural. The universe Nebadon headquarters is architectural. All the spheres around all the headquarters, all the training worlds, they're all architectural. They're all man-made, created specifically for purpose.
他就指这个这个建筑的世界就是这样的概念那就是所有的灵智性世界然后还有就是那些的首府，那些的地方宇宙星系这些的首府那个用来做训練的那些星球这些都是人造的世界。
There are 1 billion architectural worlds in Havona. They're all architectural worlds there. 1 billion, and we'll live on every one of them.
在哈瓦那
Havona. The central universe of Havona is made up of 1 billion architectural worlds.
中心宇宙大概有1个 billion， 1个 billion 是多少？是10亿10亿个这样的人造世界。
What I'm trying to say is that we're going to be spending so much time on these architectural worlds, and they're incredibly beautiful.
那么我们会在这些人造世界，就是花很长时间在这些世界当中，他们是非常美的。
But they're not lit by suns. They have a different type of light source.
他们不是被太阳照耀的，有他们特别的能量来源。
They have beautiful light, but they don't have a sun.
他们的光很美，但是不是恒星照耀的。
They have beautiful lakes all over the place, waterfalls, rivers, but they don't have oceans.
那么他们有水流瀑布湖但是没有海洋。
They have beautiful hills all over the place, gorgeous highlands, plateaus, hills, but they don't have rugged mountains.
他们有山，但是就是有高原，但是没有那种很陡峭的峻岭。
Now, if we were smart, we would enjoy these things now because we're not going to have them again for a long, 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 long time.
对对，因为这很多的东西是我们这个物质界独有的，那我们要学会去享受这独有的这些的风景，因为我们以后在很长很长很长的时间里边再见不到这样的风光。
So when you see that sun come up, or you feel that sun on your face, or you go to the ocean and you look at that incredible ocean and smell that salty water, just enjoy it. Enjoy the things of this life here, because we're never going to have it again. Maybe in 20 billion years we'll come back as a visitor, but it's going to be, we're going to miss these. We might miss these things.
嗯哼。呀，那么当你下一次阳光照在你脸上，或者你到海边，然后闻到那个气息，就是你要想到，你就要充分的享受这一切，因为你可能在很多年之后，然后才会作为一个访客，然后再能看到这样的风景。
When I watch all these videos of the near-death experience people, they are just absolutely blown away by the beauty that they go to these architectural worlds, these heavens, and they're not missing Earth. They're just so amazed by the beauty.
那么他看那些的濒死体验的视频，那么那些人都被这些人造世界的美天堂世界的美所震撼，那么他们根本不想再回到地球。
Why are you laughing?
Yeah, but they didn't realize that our Earth is also beautiful too.
Yeah, well, I think they're just so amazed at what they're seeing. But I think after they're there for a long time, they might kind of start thinking, it would be nice to go to the ocean again, or see some high mountains, or feel the sun on my face. These are very unique things that can only come from an evolved planet. Only the inhabited planets are evolved planets and have not all planets have oceans or mountains, but a lot do. But I'm just saying, like, when we're in this life, just enjoy. There's so many things here that are really wonderful that we're not going to have again. You might not, no one might. I wouldn't worry too much about the food, because you can eat on the Morancha worlds. The food is like made of an energy that you use all of it, so there's no waste, right? You have veins, but there's not blood in your veins. There's like light in your veins.
Yeah. 那他就是说要珍赏这个地球这个物质世界这个可居住世界当中这个很独特的那些的东西。当然在灵智性世界你也吃，但是你吃的东西不产生任何的废物，那么你的静脉里边呢不是血液，大概是光啊，所以我们就成为半透明的嘛。对呀，这样的这解释了这个什么。Yeah, you make use of all food you eat. That's wonderful. You don't need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good things. And you don't get old. You stay in your 30s, There's a lot of really good things about the Morancha. But I'm just saying that this is our home. This is where we were born. This is where we started our life. And I just think that I could be wrong. The book doesn't say this. But I think we're going to always have a special attachment to planet Earth. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
当然灵智性的世界很多好事啊，比如说你不会变老啊，你总是在好像30岁的样子。然后呢，但是呢，我们只是说，我们的生命起源于这个星球，那么这是我们的家，我们在这儿开始我们的生命的旅程。
I don't think it's going to be painful or anything, because the near-death experience people, they always say that when they meet God or they meet Jesus or they go to heaven, they all say this. They feel like they're home. They all feel like they're home in God's presence. And you know, so it's not like they're sitting around missing earth. It's not, I'm not saying that. But I
他
think
不是说
maybe
那
just
种好像在这儿是想家，然后实际上他们在濒死体验当中跟神在一起的时候，才是感觉的回到家了。
But I think I'm gonna miss it a little bit.
他说，但是他就是也是会怀念的，也是会怀念这个我们的地球的，我们的星球。Yeah,
You
that's
know,
yeah, different
but they,
home.
yeah, yes, our home. But they also have like these there's like incredible stuff there, like where it like it would be like a movie, but you could like feel like you were there. You know, like they have incredible like I would call it technology, but it's like spiritual technology. But they have all these things where they could create like a scene from Earth, and you could like that. You can learn history that way by actually seeing it play out, stuff like that.
对，
So it's not like you're never going to see it again. They'll you know what I mean? There'll be really cool ways of
对，他说
yeah.
到时候会有那种技术，就是他比如说你放那个体验式的那种的电影，你就进去就可以就像置身其中一样，也不是说永远看不到了，有其他的方式让我们重新体验。Yeah, I know. I learned about it from other spiritual work.
Yeah. So it's I know about it from the near-death experiencers mostly. Some of it they say in the Urantia book. That some of it they do say, but the near-death experiencers say the same stuff that's in the Urantia book, which is really cool. Really cool.
他就说很多的这个濒死体验跟玉书当中的描述是非常相合的。
Now, if anyone, you know, still has questions about the psychic, well, I think we should probably just keep reading about the soul and everything, because I think a lot of it that'll probably answer.
No, it's already 11.
No,
11.
I'm not saying now. I was going to say
Uh-uh.
in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
you can ask. I was going to say you can ask in 2 weeks when we come back. But I actually think the next sections are going to explain a lot of it. How, you know, more.
Yeah, 就是对我们下个星期没有，2周以后才有，就是继续读第七篇，不是第7部分，这一篇的第7部，永生，获得永生。
So we're going to have our first break in 33 weeks next week. Our first vacation.
对，我们下个礼拜就是第一次就是没有，下一次是这个美国的感恩节这个假期。
And I'm going to miss
找不到人，
yeah.
找不到人替，所以正好给海蒂放假。We give you a break.
No,
As
I
our
don't need a
gift,
break. I love it.
Giving. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a break from me.
他说他给我一个跟他不在一起的机会，星期四。
Ricky, you and me are the only ones left on this platform.
No, yes, in Zoom, yeah, but we have 7 at VOV.
Okay. Because I wanted to say I'm going to miss everyone, but then I thought there's nobody here that's going to hear me. But I'm going to miss everyone next week.
他说他会想念每一位的。Okay, let's stop recording then.